Have you ever wondered what if you are not disobedient, just afraid? What if the reason you pray, worship, give, and still feel stuck? It's not because God is silent, but because He already spoke and you hesitated. Or else, let me be very honest with you on this. Most people just don't walk away from God, they walk away from the trust. They say, like, God, I love you, but not on this particular decision. God, I'll obey you, but not if it costs that relationship. God, I will follow you, but only if you can see the outcome. I can see the outcome first. Nobody talks about this part, but delayed obedience doesn't just feel like rebellion. It feels like wisdom. It feels like being practical. It feels like protecting yourself inside something starts to ache. So what you do because you're doing religious thing without the relational peace with God. It's not the message to shame you. This is not about religion or rule. This is about the quiet war that is happening inside your heart between the control and the trust. And if you have ever felt that tension, if you have ever thought, why is obedience so hard for me, then stay with me, because by the end of this video you might realize something life changing. You weren't failing God, you were surviving. And if you see obedience as doing God's will, God's way, in God's timing, let me ask you something very honestly. Have you ever said, okay, God, I'll do it, but I'll do it in my way, or I'll get it to it just now, right now. Let me finish my plans first. Most of us do this. We don't call it disobedience, we call it being practical enough. But here's the uncomfortable truth that practical obedience isn't obedience at all. So it's just disobedience addressed politely, because obedience isn't only about what you do, it's about how you do it. And when you do it, you can do the right thing at the wrong time. You can do the right thing in the wrong way and still completely miss what was asked for you. Real obedience sounds like God's will, God's way, God's timing. And when you live like that, something strange happens inside you. Obedience stops feeling heavy. It stops, it stops feeling like pressure. It becomes like a compass. You are no longer negotiating every decision in your head. You are no longer exhausted by the choice that you have made. You already know the direction. Think of it like being lost in the woods at the night. You have a flashlight on your hand, but you refuse to turn it on because why? You think that you figure it out in the dark. That's what life feels like when we ignore the divine instruction. The spirit works like an intentional compass, not loud, not forceful, but steady enough that if you trust it. And timing is where most of us struggle. We live in a world that screams move now, but sometimes obedience means waiting patiently, and other times it means moving immediately, no overthinking, no delay, just act on it like Abraham. Like, he didn't debate, he didn't stall, he got up early and moved. Because here's the truth nobody likes to hear: you will never obey someone you don't trust. And if obedience feels scary, it's usually because you are afraid of the outcome. But this principle changes everything. You are responsible for the obedience, only you. God takes responsibility for the consequences later, not the hype, not the intention, the follow through. So sit with this for a moment. Is there something you have said yes to, but only on your terms? Think about it. And then comes the priority of obedience over the religious activities. You can attend every religious services, you can pray loudly, you can give generously, and still be completely misaligned. Why? Because there is a huge difference between doing things for God and doing what God actually asked you to do. So religious activity can quietly become a cover for you, a substitute, some mere distraction from the one instruction you have been avoiding for days. King Saul thought that there was a being spiritual. He offered a sacrifice, but because he didn't wait, because he didn't follow instruction, his act was called foolish. And that's confronting because it means that it can do good things and still miss the point. Obedience is the weight of worship, not sacrifice, not performative, not how busy you look spiritually. Or so ask yourself honestly this question: has activity replaced obedience in your life or no? And obedience is the proof of love. Love isn't just what we say, it's how we respond in any relationship. If someone keeps ignoring your heart, ignoring your attention or words, your needs, you eventually start questioning their behavior and start questioning their love. But spiritually, it's no different. Jesus said it plainly: if you love me, you will keep my commands, not out of fear, not out of pressure, but out of relationship. When love is real, obedience doesn't just feel like a burden to you, it feels like alignment. So if there is a no desire to obey, the issue usually isn't behavior, it's connection itself. Look at your recent choices. Do they reflect a relationship that's alive or the one that's being managed by rules alone? And Abraham wasn't extraordinary, he was willing. When the call came, he didn't just list qualification, he said three simple words: here I am. That posture, Hineni, isn't confidence, it's availability. Moses, Samuel, ordinary people, different ages, different stories, but same response. You don't need clarity for every step. You don't need strength for the entire journey. You just need to be present and open. So ask yourself, are you just in the room or are you truly available for what God is offering? Trust as the engine of obedience. Most disobedience isn't rebellion, it's distrust, because you will never obey someone you don't trust. We hesitate because we want the guarantee, the reassurance, we want the full map before we move. But faith doesn't just work that way. You wouldn't follow a GPS didn't trust. You wouldn't take a job if you didn't believe you would be paid. Yet when it comes to God, we hesitate. Why? Because we want control of the consequences. What's the results gonna be? But remember this: you take a step, God handles the outcome. Where trust breaks down, obedience stops. So, where is that happening for you right now? And the courage to leave the comfort zone and face the pain, calling sounds beautiful, at least costs you comfort, right? Obedience almost always asks you to leave something familiar. Moses had a stability, security, settled life, and then the call disrupted everything. Obedience is wise, but it's very easy. It can involve loss, rejection, resistance, and here's the promise: God doesn't glorify suffering, but He redeems it, and every value of worked for your good. So, what comfort zone are you being invited to leave? Surrendered by Isaacs. Everyone has Isaacs. So the thing that feels too precious to touch, the thing that defines your sense of safety. For Abraham, it was his son, and for us, it might be a career, a relationship, a reputation, a job. When blessings become idols, surrender become necessary. And costly obedience hurts, but delayed obedience costs more. What are you holding tighter than the trust now? And responsibility for the consequences. Fear freezes us because we imagine outcomes, but obedience doesn't require foresight, just your presence. It requires your faith, role in the action. God's role is outcome. And if you wait to see the results before obeying, what will happen? You're not obeying, you are just negotiating with God. What outcome are you afraid of releasing control over? Think about that. And meditating on the manual instructions, like life without guidance feels like darkness. The world isn't obligation, it's navigation. What you meditate, you are not reading for information, you are listening for direction. It becomes an anchor to a life, a stabilizer. What keeps you grounded when lives get loud? Think all those. And discipline is a love and training. It's a protection, not punishment. It's instruction, practice. God doesn't correct to harm you. He corrects to align your life's path. Correction isn't just rejection, it's care. If you are feeling correction, it's because you matter to God. So what would change if you truly believe that? Every no was rooted in love, isn't it?